What's up YouTube? It's NBI3030 here. I'm gonna redo my video which I was talking about the Gospel of Barnabas. Present location, I'm in North Carolina at the present moment. My friend is gonna graduate, walk across the stage tomorrow with his master's in divinity from Reformed Theological Seminary. So I want to talk about the Gospel of Barnabas real quick, because many Muslims they cite the Gospel of Barnabas in defense of Islamic teachings. In fact, it is the bestseller in many Muslim countries. I don't know if some of you YouTubers out there are aware of the Gospel of Barnabas whatsoever. But the Gospel of Barnabas is a highly recommended book by particular Muslim authors and stuff like that. Within it, one finds the living Jesus portrayed far vividly in a character, and in character with the mission with which he was entrusted than any other of the four New Testament Gospels has been able to portray him. That's what particular people say, particular Muslims. It is called essential readings for any seeker of truth by a particular Muslim author. Typical Muslim claims is that typical of Muslim claims is that of Muhammad Rahim. The Gospel of Barnabas, this is what he says, quote, "The Gospel of Barnabas is the only known surviving gospel written by a disciple of Jesus. It was accepted as a canonical gospel in the churches of Alexandria up until 325 AD. Unquote. Another Muslim author, Yusuf, last name is Yusuf, argues confidently that in antiquity and authenticity, no other gospel could come close to the Gospel of Barnabas. Unquote. So you have two particular authors, Muslim authors, that are saying that this is the best gospel of all the gospels, more or less. But is this in fact true, or is it in fact fabricated? The context of the particular gospel is not surprisingly that the Muslim apologists appeal to the Gospel of Barnabas, and that it supports a central Islamic teaching in contrast to the New Testament. It claims that Jesus did not die on the cross, and maybe this is where Muhammad gets his idea from in Surah 4, Ayah 157. And these claims are not new. Rather, it argues that Judas Iscariot died. And maybe this is why many Muslims are confused over who died upon the cross, because Allah disguised the face whoever it was upon the cross. And in the Gospel of Barnabas, it was Judas Iscariot that died on the cross. Rather, it argues that once again Judas died on the cross in Jesus' stead, having been substituted for him at the last minute. And this view has been adopted by many Muslims, since the vast majority of them believe that someone else was substituted upon the cross. Reputable scholars who have carefully examined this particular gospel, who have examined it, find absolutely no basis for the writing's authenticity. After reviewing the evidence in a scholarly article in Islamo-Christian or something like that, J. Slump concluded, in my opinion, scholarly research has proved absolutely that this gospel is a fake. This opinion is held by a number. This opinion is held by a number of Muslim scholars. In their introduction to the Oxford edition, of the Gospel of Barnabas, Lonsdale and Bagg conclude that the true data lies near to the 16th century than to the 1st century. So pretty much data says that indeed that this is a forgery. It comes more or less from the 16th century. The evidence that this is not a 1st century gospel written by a disciple of Christ is overwhelming. The earliest reference to it comes from a 5th century monk. What's his name? Comes from a 5th century monk. But even this reference is in doubt. Moreover, there is no original language manuscript evidence for its existence. Stump says flatly, there is no text tradition whatsoever of the Gospel of Barnabas. By contrast, the New Testament books are verified by more than 5,300 Greek manuscripts that begin over the first 3 centuries. Second, another individual notes that the earliest form of it known to us is an Italian manuscript. This has been closely analyzed by scholars and is judged to belong to the 15th or 16th century. That is 1,400 years after the time of Barnabas. Even Muslims defenders like it, like Muhammad Rahman, admit that they have no manuscripts from before the 1500s. So Muslims recognize that this is a very late manuscript, but they still appeal to it because it appeals to their Islamic presuppositions. This gospel is widely used by Muslim apologists today, yet there is no reference to it by any Muslim writer before the 15th or 16th century. Surely they would have used it if it had been in existence before then. There are many Muslim writers who wrote books who would no doubt have referred to such a work if it had been in existence, but no one anywhere have wrote about this particular gospel before the 15th and 16th century, when Muslims and Christians were in heated debate. And so let me just quickly conclude my particular thoughts. The Gospel of Barnabas is a fake. It's not authentic. I don't know why Muslims appeal to it. I know Beholder Guard, you appeal to it as being a true, authentic gospel. And so let me just look at another quick thoughts about it. But yeah, let me just wrap it up like that. Let me just close it with that. So let me just conclude. Muslims use the Gospel of Barnabas to support their teaching is devoid of evidence. Its teachings even contradict the Quran. This work, far from being an authentic first century account of the facts about Jesus, is plainly revealed. It is quite a late medieval fabrication. The best first century records we have of the life of Christ are found in the New Testament. The best records we have are found in the New Testament. The death, the burial, the resurrection of Jesus Christ is by none the greatest evidence we have in history. So Muslims, you stop barking up the wrong tree. This is a hill you do not want to go to when you talk about the Gospel of Barnabas. And so the New Testament is the best source we have for the life and teachings of Jesus Christ, which categorically contradicts the teachings of the Gospel of Barnabas, therefore contradicting the teachings of the Quran as well too. Even early non-Christian references contradict the Gospel of Barnabas as well. So Muslims, stop barking up this particular tree. If you bark it up, or if you go up this tree, you fall flat, because this gospel is clearly false.